Good afternoon. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Noonday Meditation and Contemplative Prayer Power Hour. My name is Martin Coward, and we've been meeting here in this virtual sanctuary for over a year now to love and support each other through the pandemic. And this month, I'm excited to say we've been celebrating women. And it's been a really fun and amazing journey to get to know all these amazing women who come on the show to share their stories. And the theme is extraordinary women doing ordinary things that inspire us. And I'm especially excited today to bring a longtime friend and one-time client when I was in the financial services world, Margie Tuttle, the Reverend Margie Tuttle. She is an Episcopalian priest, and she is a chaplain with, is it hospital special surgery?
Yes, that's right, Martin.
Okay.
My last day.
This is her last day, so we're going to be celebrating women with Margie, but we're also going to be celebrating her last day in service to the world. And what she's going to be sharing with us today is the power of living your life from a place of vocation, living it from your what I would use the words, living it from your most authentic self, living it with the gifts that God gave you to share them with the world to make a better world, to serve. Everything is from a place of service. And I'm going to be quiet for now. And I'm going to ask anybody who, by the way, if you're joining us, here's a guest. This is what happens when we want this to happen. We want our guests to show up. This is Mindy Mount. Mindy was one of my food captains at St. Paul's Chapel at Ground Zero. That's how we got to know each other. She's a wonderful woman. She's actually been a guest on my show before. And she's talk about an extraordinary woman doing ordinary things that inspires. Just like you, Mindy is one of those women, and she's amazing, amazing, amazing woman. So
Hi,
Margie,
Mindy.
hey Mindy. So I'm gonna let go. Margie's having a little challenge because her computer wouldn't let her get on, so she had to go to her iPhone. So she's holding an iPhone in her hand. So this is her calling her vocation. She's willing to do anything, even sitting with the comfort of holding an iPhone while she goes live and shares her stories. So take it away,
Not only do I
Margie.
have to hold my iPhone, it's low on juice, so I did have to plug it back in. So,
That's okay.
technological challenges are part of the deal. Anyway, so yeah, today is kind of I don't really like the phrase bittersweet, although I've been kind of saying that these days. It's not really bitter. It is sweet, but it's challenging day. I feel pretty emotional actually because I am here at the hospital and saying my goodbyes
Yeah.
to
Before
colleagues
we
and
get,
staff.
I'm going to just stop you for 1 second. Audrey Smaltz is saying hello. We want to just stop for a minute and say hello to Audrey. She
Hi,
and Mindy
Audrey.
both. She and Mindy are both loyal fans of the show. So we
Uh-huh.
always want to stop and welcome them in and ask for their comments. And they know each other because they know each other through the show. And we've all agreed we're going to get together as soon as we can and have a nice meal together. I think that's going to happen this summer. So I'm looking forward to that. So, uh, uh, Margie, take it back away. And you were talking about the kind of the emotions that you were feeling about where you are today on your last day as being the chaplain of this hospital during probably one of the most difficult times to be a chaplain in the hospital in the history of the United States.
We had our challenges for sure. It was, yeah. During the time of COVID, we did have patients who had COVID. The doctors did not do elective surgeries, but only emergency surgeries. And so it was a challenge for all of us. And the staff was very protective of us chaplains, I have to say. They really didn't want us in the isolation rooms because they needed the PPE and because they were protective of us. And while I appreciated that, I've been in isolation rooms my whole working life for various situations, but I appreciated their concerns. So we visited patients and families through FaceTime and Zoom and called them. And for a while, I was working remotely from home. I had a loaner laptop from the hospital, and I found it really difficult. And in reflecting about that, I think it really brought to clearer focus what I felt my life of service, of chaplaincy, of ministry, of spiritual care has been. And you said finished life of service? No, Martin. Next chapter. I don't know what that will be yet.
I understand, but this is the end of this chapter, serving
This
in the
chapter,
hospital.
this particular chapter, right, right, right. But in that reflection, it just I found it personally and professionally just not satisfying to try to call patients, and then they the phone, there was no answer, and I didn't know if patients were too sick to answer, or they couldn't reach the phone, or they didn't want phone calls, or left in that space of unknown, and found that to be really difficult. And so eventually the palliative care team was called in, and I'm part of that, or was part of that,
What kind of team is
because
that? What
I'm
kind of
sorry,
team? What's it called?
palliative care.
What does that
Palliative
mean
care.
exactly?
Yeah,
What is
palliative
that?
care is care that focuses not so much on curing, but on coping with and dealing with symptoms. So, for instance, a patient who has, I don't know, a diagnosis that causes severe pain, palliative care would focus on a multi-dimensional approach to try to control or cope with that pain through medication, through maybe meditation, through spiritual resources like prayer or ritual, sacraments, um, whatever that person's faith tradition or spiritual view, whatever it is, might provide for them comfort, peace, reconciliation with people, with themselves, with God, with you know. Um, so palliative care focuses on the relief of symptoms, not on trying to get a cure. So, in any case, so we were available for patients and families and staff as well during that time. And so I was then on site, but likewise, it was over Zoom, over FaceTime, whatever device or platform was available. So it was better for me personally and professionally than the phone, but it was difficult. It was difficult.
Mm-hmm.
Nevertheless, I just I wanted to talk about a sense of vocation, and I think that that's, in a word, what maybe I was reflecting on. I do reflect on that, but reflecting on that during the time of COVID and what trying to work remotely meant, and what being there in person meant. So for me, and this isn't true for everybody, for all chaplains, there are chaplains who feel very connected to people on the phone, and feel that their work is effective and helpful and comforting. And some of the feedback from patients is that that is true. Um, for me, I really value the person to person, in person contact with people. And it's hard to articulate what that exactly is, but I know that there have been moments in my life, in my work, that in my time with a patient or with a staff member, where I just have this sense that I am doing and being what I am called to be and do.
Yes.
And I think I happen to be the one to show up, but I think it is of God or Holy Spirit or divine, or however you frame that or understand that or talk about it. So those moments are
I would say
precious.
that's who we are.
That is
That's
who we
who we
are.
are. That is
That's
the
who I
essence of
believe we
that
are.
is our that is the essence of our true nature. We are the divine.
Yeah.
Not the Martin Coward, this individual over here, but the spirit that is talking to you and you that's listening to me, that is the divine. And when
I agree
we
with
open
that.
our heart, and so from what I'm saying and what I talk about a lot is a prosperity perspective and an abundance perspective is when we tap into that gift of ourselves, that life-giving spirit, that creative nature, then we follow that and we get out of our way when not Martin gets out of his way and says, okay, and I call that part of me Joy the Wise Woman, as you know. So I let Joy the Wise Woman run the day. She's talking to you right now and she's listening to you.
Yeah.
And when I'm in that space, I am in the space of divine presence. And that's what we're talking about here. So like you've learned that your vocation was to bring that presence into people's hospital rooms and into their care
Awareness.
when they're sick, when they're ill, and help to heal that.
Yeah, yeah. It has to do with connection. It has to do with the human connection, but it also, as you say, Martin, has to do with this, as you call, divine connection. Yes, very much
Yeah.
so. Yeah, I definitely have experienced that, and I hope that's what I bring. I think it is sometimes. I
I'm
say
sure you
100%,
do.
but yeah. And you know that I think I'd like to share just one story. I think, um,
Good.
and it's not a visit with a patient here. It was from a time when I worked at a psychiatric hospital, and I was a chaplain in a psychiatric hospital for a few years. And I won't use the
What was that like?
patient's name.
What was that like on a full moon?
It was wonderful. I loved working with patients there for
Yeah,
the
I
most
know.
part. But this is a really kind of interesting story. I think. I mean, it meant a lot to me. Um, so there was a patient. I'll call Jimmy. That's not his real name to protect his identity, but I'll call him
Yeah,
Jimmy.
good for you. We'll call a patient named Jimmy.
Yeah. And so, like is pretty typical of a chaplain, I'd make rounds along the or within the different units and buildings of that particular hospital and check in with folks and see who might want to sit and chat or say a prayer or whatever. So this particular patient had a very sad, very sad story, as many people who are in state psychiatric hospitals do. He told me that when he was, from the time he could remember, so from very young age, his mother told him that he was born evil. He was born evil. Imagine what impact that might have on a person.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know how old the patient was at this time, but he had a 5-year-old niece who he murdered and ended up in this state psychiatric hospital, uh, really for the rest of his life. Had multiple various diagnoses, but he was at a point in his care and in his life where, at that particular hospital, they allowed, or depending on how a patient was doing, and living and coping and behaving, they had certain privileges to walk the grounds of the hospital. There was a little coffee shop they could go to, and they could buy cigarettes at that time and coffee and hang out outside for a while. And there were other various programs that the hospital had. So I would go and meet with Jimmy, and we would take a walk to the cafe and sit outside and chat. And so he told me his stories. And then one day when I went to take him for a walk, um, he was it was for whatever reason that I don't know the reason, he got very angry, uh, uh, cursing and swearing and acting out and being loud and belligerent, and so his behavior meant that he was unable to leave the unit that day because it wouldn't have been safe for him to be walking the grounds. God forbid, it escalated and there was, a fight, or he would somehow be unsafe in doing that, walking the grounds in that kind of a state. So I said, I'm sorry, we could visit here on the unit if you want, but we can't go for the walk today. And I was also on the list of, well, the S list of the day because we couldn't do what we were doing frequently. And so he also kind of let this barrage of language out at me too. And everybody, he was just in that place of anger and probably terror. I don't know what else was going through his mind. Well, I went back the next day and he was much better. his behavior was much better, and his way of being was much better. And so, yeah, we could do that. We could go for the walk. So we were making our way down. It's like it was yesterday. Make our way down to the cafe, and he said, "I just don't get it." What? Well, I just don't get it. After the way I treated you yesterday, you're back today, and you didn't give up on me. Maybe that means God's not going to give up on me. Well, I could have retired right then. I felt like my work was done. You know, uh,
Yeah, just take a second on that. That's pretty powerful.
and as I relay the story, some of the more cynical, if you would, staff said, "Oh, he just said what he knew you wanted to hear." Well, I don't know. Maybe that's true. He had his way. Nevertheless, I hope that he really felt that. That God's not going to ever give up on him, no matter what.
Right.
No matter what.
I mean, what I
And
hear about that story is the man he never was loved by his mother. And
never.
if you're grown up, I've gone into prisons actually and worked with people that murdered people. I've worked with them in shadow work, and it's always there. Almost every single time, it's these young men, these men. I work with men only, who were just void of love.
Yeah.
Not only did they not love, they were often beaten and abused and hurt by other people. So their whole frame is, this world is unfriendly, and I got to protect myself from everything because there is nothing out there. So to be in,
And I mean, who knows really what the roots of mental illnesses are, genetic, hereditary, behavioral, environment, who knows, all the above. We don't know really. I think people have theories, and maybe they're all valid. I don't know. Nevertheless, I think that from such a young age to be told that you're evil, I mean,
yeah. And
that in itself
she was just projecting onto him what she was told as a young age. And that's
probably that's true.
and so what you're doing in your ministry is you're helping to break that cycle.
Well, I
In some way, whenever you heal someone's heart, that statement of "and God will not give up on me," that was a break in that cycle. There is hope for me too.
There's hope for me too. God's not going to
Yeah,
turn God's back on me, no
right.
matter what I did. His family turned their back on him.
Of course.
His whole family. He was estranged from everybody in his family. So, I can't imagine how someone could survive as long as he did, given that circumstance. He has since died. He had multiple physical illnesses as well as a mental illness. So eventually he did die. But that was a very really profound kind of moment, and I guess the word to me too is his word to me, that God won't give up on me either.
Right. There you go.
when I screw up, or I say the wrong thing, or I'm not my best self, and I don't do my best, whatever that means, or I say no to something that maybe I don't know,
What do you have to
God's
say
not
about
going to
this?
give up on me
Have a
either.
Facebook? Can you see the comment from a Facebook user
Breaking
here?
certain cycles are actually part of healing.
So
Yeah.
how would you comment on that? What would you have to say about
Well,
that
yeah,
comment?
for sure. Oh, for sure. I agree with that, for sure. I mean, I find it in my own life. I mean, I can be a very negative person, as you know, Martin, right?
Well, we all have a shadow. We all have. It's human. We all have, and
Right,
that's what the shadow is. It's the negative of the light.
right,
And,
okay, yeah.
yeah, we all
But
have
I
that.
could,
Every human being has it.
right. For me, I could get in a place of a lot of negativity where it becomes sort of a downward spiral,
Right.
and so I begin to think, well, this is no good, or I didn't do that well there. I'm no good, right?
Yeah.
I'm not worthy. This is no good. That's no good. That's no
Exactly.
good. And it's this downward kind of depressive cycle. And
So what do you do
when
to get
I
yourself
and
out of that? How do you pull yourself up out of that negativity?
sometimes I literally, when I recognize it, and I recognize it now when it happens, pretty much. Um, I literally say to myself, stop. I literally say, stop. It's almost like snapping the rubber band, except that would hurt, and I don't want to do that.
But what I say to that shadow is, I say, get off my playing field.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Turn it down, turn it off. Right. Right. And it does change something.
Yeah,
Or a feeling of gratitude for something.
right.
Gratitude, you know,
Gratitude.
just
Gratitude
transforms that
breaks
moment. Might
it.
not transform the literal circumstances, but it transforms something in me, that I
Well,
could take a breath and
what it does is it transforms your image of yourself, your image of God, and your image of the world. And that
yeah.
and that's what transformation is. And
Hmm.
Mindy is saying something about owning that shadow. So what we need those shadows. We need that negativity. Otherwise, we're just pure light. And we would never do anything. But we need that.
Right.
We need that
Right.
shadow. We need that negative to reflect on, to challenge us, to step through it and discover our goal, discover our gifts, discover how powerful we are. So when you challenge that and you say, not what did you say? You say to it, you just tell it to stop.
Stop.
Yeah, you say stop. Stop that. You're not even real. Get away from here.
Yeah,
And
get
all of
behind
a
me,
sudden,
Satan. Right.
yeah, and then all of a sudden you open your heart with gratitude, and you've
Yeah.
shifted. You've changed the way you see yourself. You changed the way you see the world, and you changed the way you relate to your own divine self. And that's beautiful. That's what I'm hearing in all of your stories here today. That's fabulous.
Yeah.
Tell us
Yeah.
tell us one thing wonderful you learned about yourself. Had it not been for COVID-19 in this big timeout and all the challenges you had of having to do things by Zoom and not Zoom, what wonderful thing, Margie, did you learn about yourself in this last year?
Hmm. Hmm. Well, I think I have to go back to that idea of what the person. I know we're on Zoom or whatever platform we're on, StreamYard, but uh, and this is a powerful connection. But again, I think the maybe I have to be more open to the connections that can happen in many ways. I
Right.
really value the human person to person in person connection.
Yeah, we all do. Yeah.
But I'm learning more about how that can happen, you know, virtually too. We've been Zooming with my family, and that's been good. Not the same as being there. It's not. It's just not. But
But would you
there
say
are
you learned that you
possibilities.
have? Would you say you learned that you have the gift of healing no matter what the challenges?
The gift of
Healing.
healing.
You have the gift of healing no matter what the challenges are. That gift is always present within you.
I
I'm
do.
asking.
I do. I have. Yeah. I'm a good listener. And yeah, yeah. And I do. Well, this day that's so with so many mixed feelings. I it's going to be the next chapter, and while I don't know what that is right now, exactly, I am sure that something is going to open up, and something will be revealed, and I think it also will have to do with some divine inspiration or nudging uh, that will lead me to whatever is next. I think that's been true for me over the course of my life in many different areas, professionally and where I lived, and many relationships, and many different things and ways. So I trust that it will happen
I
on and
I
on.
know we've talked about it because I still work with you on some of your retirement stuff, and
Yeah.
I'm the one that was encouraging you to let go of this job so that
Yes, you were.
you could actually fulfill your vocation from a deeper sense of purpose of who you are without the confines of that paying position. And well, first of all, my advice to you is this: put as much space as you can. Take 3 months at minimum, 90 days, and go spend time with your family. I know you've got some grandkids and some people. Give yourself all the permission you need to fall in love again with Margie. Practice self-love. And the way to
thank
practice
you.
that self-love is to be with, if you celebrate your last day in the hospital as an employee, and
Right.
open up a new chapter of your life, because I really want to celebrate you. I think being in that role, and thank you for sharing some of the difficulties it was for you and challenges to be present and to be as powerful as. But I can guarantee you that you were as healing and as powerful as you always are, in spite of all those difficulties that you faced.
Thank you. Thank you.
And
Well, you were right. You did give me great advice, and when I was making this decision about retirement, your
what did I
advice
say?
about don't make the list of how did you put it, pluses and minuses of retiring or staying. You said make the list of pluses, make the list of why you want to retire, and that just opened the door for the decision.
Good.
So that
You
was
see,
very helpful, Martin.
and you know what, we were talking about negative and positive. I was saying just focus on the positive on both sides of the
Right.
equation. What
Right.
are the positives? What are all the positives of staying where you are? And what are all the positives? And this is if anybody's listening, this is always the best way to make a decision. What are all the positives of both sides of the equation? Don't put
Right.
in the positive, the good, the pros and the cons. That just totally confuses the mind. But
Yeah.
if you get really clear about what is good about both decisions, and the one that weighs the most, and the one that feels the most,
Right.
because as Jesus says, as you well know, my yoke is easy and my burden, the yoke is light and the burden is easy. What is it? The burden is light and the yoke is easy. And so what that means is we take our ego thinks we have to struggle through life to be worthy, which is absolutely opposite of the truth. The truth is, when we're following when we're following our vocation, it's very light and easy because we're just doing what the divine wants us to do. We're creating more. That's what is happening. That's why I do that.
There's a quote from Frederick Buechner. I don't know if you know him, Frederick Buechner, who is a theologian and a writer and an educator, wonderful sort of spiritual guru. I hope I can get this quote right. I think it's vocation is where your deepest joy meets the world's deepest need. That's
That is
vocation.
beautiful. We should have put that on the
So,
ticker today because I love that.
and so it's, I don't think I quite got his words right, but that's the sentiment anyway. And so I agree with that. I think vocation, calling, has to do with who you are in the world.
And I'm going to
How
say
you live your life,
exactly. And as Mindy is saying here, so happening to witness you today, Margie, you're amazing. And with that philosophy of your vocation, your vocation, your deepest joy, meeting you now are not encumbered by this one institution. You're now free to look at what the world needs right now from you and deliver that in a way with more joy and more, because you got it. You've got all those wonderful years of experience and wisdom and understanding and stories like the one you just shared. That's what's going to move you and leverage you up into being even more good in the world in the next in you might call the retirement. But I'm going to tell you something. Someone who's 66 years old, we're about the same age, I believe. We're exactly the same age as what I recall. And I'm having more fun now than ever. And I retired from that big company years ago that encumbered my ability to share my gifts. And as I pretty much will expect the thing will happen to you because I know you well. So look, like Mindy says, look forward to doing some really fun stuff in the world when you're no longer encumbered, by limitations that come from working for somebody else that you can work for you're now really truly being the servant of the divine self.
Well, thank you. Someone sent me a card that said, not retiring, just rewiring.
Exactly what we're doing. We're rewiring ourselves for a much more exciting future. So we're half after the hour now. We're going to take a pause and we're going to do our 20-minute meditation, which is the focus of this, because that's how we get into that divine space, and that's how we get in touch with and get out of that negative ego thinking, barking, noise that comes up in everybody's mind. Some of it's positive, some of it's negative. And then we spend time trying to figure out which thought's negative and which thought's positive. This is an opportunity to say, none of them are. Let them all go. Let every thought go. Let every opinion go. Let every story go. And my favorite thing is, who would you be without your story? You'd be divine.
Wow. Yeah.
And that's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to practice right now. We're going to practice getting into our divine self, getting into our authentic, loving self. And we start
Take it away,
that.
Martin.
We start
away,
that.
Martin.
I'm going to. We start that, and you can put you can just raise your arms up in the air and do whatever you need to do with your phone. Don't worry about it right now. I'm going to I want you to, there you go. Raise your arms up in the air, and we do that to celebrate women, and we're doing that today to celebrate Margie and all those years of service and love to her community and to people in the hospital, and particularly to the challenges of the last year. And we also do that to remind us just how close the divine is, because with that divine spirit, that's what lifted our hands up. We just obeyed. I just do that as a reminder of just how close the divine is. We are the divine. Not Martin, this body over here. Martin just obeyed the divine. So you can put your hands in your lap, and Margie, you can readjust your phone now so we can see your lovely face and smile. And that's today.
Okay.
And just allow yourself to begin. So now we're going to bring ourselves into more awareness of our interior landscape and find that wonderful space, that cloud of unknowing that I like to call it. We're going to begin to focus on our breathing. We're going to begin to go from outward thinking into inward looking with our breath. And we're going to let the breath bring us inside of ourselves. And we do something called centering prayer, which is centering all of everything around our hearts, around our heart space. And one way to slow down the mind, slow down the brain from thinking, because that's what the brain is made to do. It's nothing wrong with it. It's doing its job. But what we want to slow it down and give it permission to take a little rest. And when we think, the back of our tongue vibrates. And one of the technique that you can do to slow down the vibration is the following. Take your tip of your tongue and rest it on the roof of your mouth, just behind your two front teeth. And relax your lips, part your lips slightly, and relax your jaw. And then just begin to breathe naturally. And as you're breathing naturally, begin to actually focus the mind on the breath and allow the breath to gently massage the back of your tongue. There you go. Perfect. And just allow them to put your tongue on the roof of your mouth behind your front teeth. Part your lips slightly, relax your jaw, and allow your focus to be on massaging the tongue with the breath. Bringing the breath in through the nose, down your throat, massage the tongue, open the heart, and with your belly muscles, pull the breath deeper into your belly, deeper into your stomach to anchor you into your body, to anchor yourself, your spirit, into the chair, into the present moment. And just breathe naturally for a few minutes. And just notice what's happening. Notice the thoughts that come up in your mind. Notice any judgments that might come up. And just let them come up and let them go away. Notice them like you're noticing clouds in the sky. Don't judge them. And as you breathe more deeply inside yourself, notice how you might be feeling, any emotions you might be carrying. And treat those all like little babies. Little emotional babies, because that's what they are. There are things that you created in the moment as guides deeper inside yourself. So take these emotions and feel them. Feel them deeply. If that feeling is fear, feel the fear. Surround yourself in it. Welcome it. If it's feelings of shame, feel the shame. Don't resist it. Just feel it. It's here to tell you something. If you're feeling joy, feel the joy. Without judging any of these as good feelings or bad feelings. They're just feelings. We all have them. So as we get deeper inside ourselves and begin to explore our interior landscape, what we're feeling. What is it like to be me in this chair? What is it like to be you in that chair? What is it like for you to live inside that body, that wonderful body of yours, that miracle of life? Where we've taken infinite energy, infinite creative consciousness, love consciousness, and poured it into a finite being, human, which is you and me. We just breathe into our essence of our life, that infinite source within us. It's always here, will always be here. It's here long before this body came into it, and it will be here long after this body leaves. So let go of any fear about the leaving of the body. It's all part of the cycle of life. And begin to let go. And we're going to do 3 big belly breaths. Let me just get my timer set here. We're going to do 3 big belly breaths to get started. And what that looks like is with the muscles in your belly. Hear that little bell? That's to wake us up from any thinking and feel the vibration of the bell to take us more deeply inside ourselves. So back to the 3 belly breaths. With the belly muscles, you're going to pull the breath in through the nose. And you're going to bring it down the throat, massage the back of your tongue. Use it to open up your heart space. And then pull it deeper into your belly to anchor yourself into the space and hold it for a moment. You ready? Breathe in. Breathe in a little deeper. With your belly muscles, pull it deeper and hold it. Expand your belly. Create some space. And now, just let it go. Let the breath go. And when you let the breath go, let every thought, every opinion, every judgment, every story, every belief you have about this world, go with it. Hold on to nothing. And be still. Be still and know that I'm God. Not me, Martin, but I am. I am the divine presence of the universe. And I am here and you are here. We're going to do another deep belly breath. So with your belly muscles, pull the breath in through the nose, down the throat, massage the throat, open the heart, and pull the breath deeper, 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 and expand the belly to create more space for love. Bring it in deeper, hold it, and just release it and let it go. And feel the release and the tension of all of those thoughts. Every belief about yourself, especially those of which you are ashamed. Let them all go. Hold on to nothing. Be present to the divine love within you. That infinite love consciousness that we are. And just enjoy and dance in that chaotic, uncreated, yet uncreated energy. Energy to create. We all have. Go into the excitement of that chaos. Allow yourself to dance in it. Allow yourself to be free in it. Free of fear, free of thought. We're going to do one more belly breath, and then I'm going to be still for the rest of the meditation. You're going to hear some interval bells, wake-up bells. Wake us up about thinking, and then we're going to reset and come back into this deep space of infinite love. So with your belly, pull the breath in through the nose, down the throat. Massage the back of your tongue. Expand the rib cage around the heart. And really pull the breath deep into the belly. Expand the belly. Now soften the belly, let it all go. And with it, every remaining thought, opinion you have about this world. Hold on to nothing. And be still and know that I am God. Oh, there's the sweet sound of that wake up bell to wake us up from our thinking, our sleeping, our planning, our worrying. All that stuff our brilliant brains do. Just say, oh, thank you so much, but you can go take a nap now. And let them all go and allow yourself to fall more gently into that wonderful, sweet cloud of unknowing, the home of the divine presence within ourselves. There's the sweet sound of that wake-up bell. Wake us up out of our thinking, our planning, our thoughts, maybe even our sleeping. To wake us up and bring us into alert awakeness of our infinite love, compassion for ourselves and others. And there's our final wake-up bell to bring us back into this moment in the material world, so to speak. How are you feeling, Reverend Margie?
Well, a combination, lots of different things. Peaceful, but also that nudge to, I have to see patients. I have to see patients. So that was present too. But I think overall, just
Do you
peaceful
have to? I
and a
would.
sense of joy.
I'm going to say you get to see patients.
I'm sorry, what? I can't
You
hear
get.
you.
You have the
What?
op. Now you have the op. It's not that you have to go see patients, but you have one last afternoon where you have the opportunity to go see patients, and now you can go visit them. Uh-oh, we lost you from a deeper sense of presence. Well, I hope she can come back. But isn't she delightful? Oh my God, I just love her. She's one of the most wonderful people, and she's a little timid of her own spirituality, her own spiritual nature. You know, she's like, she doesn't really come to realize it tonight to me, but I know her really well, and she's she's a tremendous force of love and healing in the world, and And so if there's anybody that can talk a little bit about who is extraordinary, doing an ordinary thing, such as just walking around a hospital and listening to people share their stories to heal, that's inspiring enough as it is. So I'm sorry she got lost from a technical glitch, but I can't control everything, and neither can she. But she's going to get to go out this afternoon on this wonderful day and celebrate with these last few patients that she'll see in the hospital. And so I'm sure that was weighing on her mind as she was thinking, I'm sitting here doing this, and I probably should be going to see my patients, because that's what her calling is. Her calling was calling her into see those patients on that very last day, because she's truly a loving woman. So I want to close out with one thank you for tuning in today. Yeah, thank you, Audrey. Isn't she wonderful? She's just truly a gift. And so I'm just really grateful to have her as a friend and having her as a client. And she, like I said, she's an ideal client because she knew she needed some help. She was open to coaching, and she was willing to face had the courage to face her challenges, as you heard today, and to get out of her own way so she could do her job and follow her vocation. Yeah. You're welcome, Mindy. It's so good to have you back, by the way. I missed you. I know you were traveling to DC with your family, but as Audrey and I will tell you, it's not the same when you're not here. The three of us sort of make the thing. We're going to have to get together this summer and have a cookout in my backyard or somewhere. It would be a lot of fun. So thank you for joining us here today. Couple things. One, as we move into April, I am shifting the theme. And the theme for April is going to be, I love this is a new thing for me, having people come on as my guests to celebrate certain things. And I had so much fun in March celebrating extraordinary women doing ordinary things to inspire us. I'm going to shift to the direction in April to extraordinary GBTQ men, gay, bi, trans, and questioning men, extraordinary GBTQ men doing ordinary things that inspire us. So stay tuned for April. And it's always a gift, because when people come in and share what ordinary things when extraordinary people share what ordinary things, we all feel inspired, because that's what it is. Doing ordinary things like Margie, just sitting and listening to hear stories. And Mindy can tell you, because we both worked together at Ground Zero, that most of what while we prepared food, most of the work we did was just sitting and listening and listening to people tell their stories. Tell their stories of digging out body parts across the street, basically, which is hard and wounding and painful. And we sat day after day in those pews and listened to those rescue workers, the firemen, and the others that were over there, the construction workers and the sanitation workers, just share their stories and listen to that with an open, healing heart. And that's how we did it. That's how we did that. So all that work in so short amount of time was just being still and listening. I think she's coming back. There she's back.
Completely died. Sorry.
Oh, well, we're glad you got that. We were just celebrating your praises. So I'm glad you got to come back in so we could see your beautiful face and smile. And thank you personally for being with us today. And you got some wonderful things from Mindy and from Audrey and just just great comments from the people who were able to join us today. And I was just telling them about some things that are coming up. So one, I want to thank you. And I want to say that I was just saying that next month, I've had so much fun celebrating extraordinary women doing ordinary things that inspire us. Next month, April, we're going to be celebrating extraordinary gay, bi, trans men doing ordinary things that inspire us. And so it's going to be a lot of fun. So stay tuned for that.
Great.
And so another thing is I've created, there are two Facebook groups that I've created. One is for everybody. It's called the Financial Mystics Sanctuary, and anybody can join. There's a link so far from here. So join that if you want to continue to stay tapped into me about any of the spiritual teachings and the meditations and those kind of things. I've also created another Facebook group as people know, I am a spiritual teacher and a prosperity and mindset coach for gay, bi, and trans men, helping them to do all sorts of things. And one of them is to look at their shadows. And I've got a private Facebook group called Financial Heart Space for Gay, Bi, Trans Men. And I'm going to be actually doing a workshop at 1 o'clock inside that group. So that's you. Join us today. It's going to be all about 3 steps. I'm giving away a new worksheet, by the way. I'm going to give it away in my other group too. But I need to figure out a time to do a training in there. But it's called it's how to solve any problem using the shadow work method. So I'm going to be giving out the worksheet, and I'm going to be teaching you how to use it today at 1 o'clock if you're inside that private Facebook group. But I'll do it again for everybody in the Financial Mystic Sanctuary sometime in the month of April. So the invitation is to join either one of those groups, which is more appropriate for you. And I'm here for you to love and support you in your journey here. And with that, again, Margie, I normally ask people how to get in touch with you, but I'm going to say in this case, I want people to let you have all the time you need to love Margie and have a little solitude and be with your family and be with your friends and really spend the next 3 months putting some space around this. And I'm sure that divine presence within you will begin to wake up and guide you into your next journey. And it'll even be more exciting than the one you've had so far. Because that's who you are.
Thank you, Martin. Thanks so much.
So stick around for just 1 second so we can talk a minute backstage. I'm going to close all this out and then we'll go. Okay. So may love and prosperity prevail for all. Thank you so much.